Hey, hey everybody. So this is just a little intro to living with psychosis. I've been wanting to do an Instagram slash YouTube slash Facebook something around my experience with psychosis for a long time now. And I have been kind of jumped into action by my recent hospital stay at the Melbourne Clinic and just wanting to record some of my experiences here. I think it's really important that we all sort of understand what really happens in hospitals, and especially for the mentally ill when they get treated. And there's some transparency there as well. But just to give a bit of a quick rundown on me, I'm 34, I live in Melbourne, I'm from Tasmania. I have a beautiful 7-year-old and I've been living with psychosis for 15 years, so since I was 18. And yeah, varying diagnoses, but basically schizoaffective disorder is probably the most accurate one, which is sort of a mixture between some mood elements, so some mood disorder elements. I might experience depression or mania, and then some psychotic elements like with schizophrenia. So, but psychosis for me is the big issue, really. And when that happens, my life can really fall apart. It's only ever happened in a big way twice in my life, so I've been pretty lucky. But both of those times has taken me quite a few years to recover from. And I'm sort of in the final recovery stages of my second psychosis, which happened when I was 30. You can see that's already 4 years ago, and it takes a long time to get your head back together or realigned or re-put together in a different way, which often it is the case. So I just wanted to talk about my experience with psychosis, and just want to link in with anyone else out there who experiences this, that there are a lot of us out there. It's something that's not talked about freely and openly in society. There aren't a lot of voices out there at all in the public sphere who have this illness. I do feel like the differences I've seen over the last 15 years have been great in terms of mental health awareness. Huge, in fact, but really it's only covered depression, anxiety, and maybe some elements of things like bipolar or mood disorders, but there really hasn't been the same awareness around psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, people who experience psychosis in general with BPD, or bipolar with affective disorder. So I know that, like, personally, I feel like I can talk about that I have a mental illness now more than I used to. I can even feel comfortable sometimes saying, oh, I have bipolar, but I don't normally say to people that I have schizoaffective disorder or psychosis unless I really know them well, because it's just something that people just, their eyes glaze over and they kind of just don't understand. And that's just because there has been such a lack of awareness out there of what that means. I think people still are afraid of people with those kind of illnesses because they don't understand them, and or of course we're afraid of what we don't understand. And I think someone, if you think someone can have a psychotic episode, it's easy to see how someone might be scared of that and think that you could just be unpredictable or untrustworthy or something like that. And so these are the kind of stigmas that people like me face every day, and I really haven't been that open about this element of my mental illness, and it's been really taking a toll on me, actually, especially the last 4 years since my last episode. I really feel like I haven't been able to be honest and fully express to people about what I've been experiencing, and like why things have been so hard, and why I haven't achieved some of the things that I wanted to have achieved by now in my life. And it's hard as well, explaining these kinds of things to a little kid, which of course I do in the most simple of ways. But I feel really passionately about this, that there should be more awareness, and I feel really passionately about reducing the stigma. People who've had psychotic illnesses throughout history have been persecuted and, discriminated against and treated incredibly badly. I mean, we have been burnt at the stake, we've had our brains cut out, we have had an ECT, which is still used and I know can be helpful for some people, but there's a lot of this has been happening involuntarily, and it's something that really, really needs to be looked at. But that's kind of another story. That's another rant I have about historical treatment of psychosis. But I'm really kind of hoping this might actually start some sort of social movement where people feel like they can talk about being crazy, or, maybe we can reappropriate that word, being mad. It's an illness that we can't control, whether or not we have it, but we can control how we manage it. And it has there's some really beautiful qualities to the people who experience this illness. It's actually a really unique perspective on the world. It offers a really unique perspective on the world, and 1% of people have psychotic episodes. So it's a fairly small amount of people, but just imagine what we could offer to the world with this unique view. So I'm going to start this Instagram off with this, and also with my recent stay at the mental health Melbourne clinic. I'm going to be starting clozapine, which is a drug that I've been thinking about taking for over a year now. It came to my attention after a friend of mine started to take it, and he really improved. He has slightly different symptoms to mine, but we have a lot of overlap. And also I listened to a TED talk by a woman who was an advocate of clozapine, and who, it changed her life as well. She has more sort of, has a more of a schizophrenia way of presenting. That's her illness would be more characterized as schizophrenia, but the psychotic element really is the same. It's sort of seen as a spectrum between bipolar affective disorder straight through to schizophrenia. So hearing her talk about clozapine has made me really interested in it as well. It's usually not given to people. It's very rarely given to people these days because there is a very small risk that you will have some heart problems in the very beginning, and that can be fatal if it's not picked up. So you have to go into hospital and you have to be monitored for the first 4 days of treatment. I'm going to be in here for a week in total, hopefully not too much longer. But it actually is it's an older drug. It's classed as a first generation antipsychotic, but what it does do that some of the other antipsychotics don't do is it does actually target both the negative and the positive symptoms of schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, which means that it's meant to target motivation and lack of organized thinking and some of the more depressive elements of schizophrenia, which is what I really struggle with. So I don't have as many of the delusions and the hallucinations. I more have the negative symptoms, and nothing that I've taken has really been able to help me with that so far. So I've tried nearly everything now. They usually only give clozapine once you've tried almost everything else, and I'm definitely qualified for that now. And I'm aware of all the really, there are some strong side effects and some worrying side effects, but I'm at the point in my life where I'm willing to sort of try anything at this point to see if it can help make my life, improve the quality of life that I have, so I can move on with my life and do the things that I want to do. So this is really exciting for me to be trying this. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know whether it's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be like, really, but we'll see how it goes. There's also there are a few more things I have up my sleeve, like trying TMS, which I've wanted to try for ages, and doing a really good course of EMDR therapy, which I want to try as well. So there are some other things I can do, but let's hope clozapine helps to kind of balance me out and helps with my thinking, and helps to reorganize that, and helps a little bit with anxiety and motivation and the depressive side, like depressive elements of it. And thanks so much, and welcome to Living with Psychosis. It won't always be this intense. I want to talk about all the fun elements of my life as well, but I thought it was just a really good time to start this up while I'm in hospital and I have all this time on my hands. So I will love to hear any comments or anything you have, and if you're living with the same illness, I would love to hear from you as well. Thanks.